Week 2 of the NFL preseason wraps up tonight, and one of the early controversies of the season is reaching a boiling point. Oakland Raiders wide receiver Antonio Brown is sticking to his guns about wearing his helmet, which the league and players union has banned over safety concerns. The helmet in question is the same one Brown has used since his rookie year. The feud between Brown, his team, and the league is escalating. Raiders general manager Mike Mayock issued essentially an ultimatum to his star receiver, saying it's time for him to be all in or all out. Let's bring in CBS Sports NFL writer Tyler Sullivan, who joins us now from Boston. Hi, Tyler. So the Antonio Brown helmet saga, helmet gate, is still marching on as we get closer to the regular season. Brown's agent says he's upset. He can't wear his helmet on the field. Where do you see this controversy going?
Well, the good news for the Raiders right now is that Antonio Brown is at least in the building. He did reportedly show up to training camp today. They didn't practice, but he at least is in the building. So listening to Mike Mayock showing up to the Raiders facility. So that on itself is a positive step. For me, though, ultimately, it's only going to be resolved one way and one way only, and that is Antonio Brown wearing a league-approved helmet. This is something that the NFL and the NFL Players Association are in lockstep with. This is a player safety issue with Antonio Brown. And if they give him an exception and they say, okay, you can wear a helmet that is deemed by all of us illegal or not safe or more prone to concussions, well, then what's stopping any other player that wants to change their helmet back to the way it was?
Right.
You've seen other players like Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, who have worn illegal helmets in the 2018 season. They've switched over to 2019, the new rules with the new helmets. And it seems like Antonio Brown will have to do it at some point or another, whether it's in the regular season or here in the preseason.
Right, because, I mean, if the league makes an exception, like you said, it's also opening itself up to liability, correct, in case something does happen.
Exactly. And concussions are a hot button issue in the NFL. We all know this. So obviously, this is something that the league and the Players Association, two sides that sometimes don't get along too much. This is one that is a clear cut and dry player safety issue. Both sides back it. They're looking at Antonio Brown's helmet. They're deeming it not safe for him to play with. And now it just seems like he is going to have to wear one that does go within the league rules. And one of the things with Antonio Brown's helmet is, for his complaints about the entire thing is vision. So if he can find one that maybe has a wider face mask or something along those lines, maybe that could be easier for him down the road.
All right, so it's just the only thing we're waiting on is for Antonio Brown to get on board here. Everyone else is on board. All right, we'll see when that happens. Now let's talk about week 2 of the preseason. New York Giants rookie quarterback Daniel Jones put together another impressive performance, throwing a touchdown and completing nearly all of his passes. So what do you make of his early success?
Well, he's really, the happiest people are the Giants front office, because they certainly got a lot of flack for selecting him number 6 overall at the NFL drafts, arguably way too high of where he was going to be. They had another pick later on in that first round. Probably could have picked him there as well. That's obviously received a lot of criticism. But even in his opening preseason game, I mean, he was perfect by quarterback standards, a perfect quarterback rating. So, it's hard to expect him to repeat that going into his second preseason performance. But overall, did play extremely well against the Chicago Bears. Like you said, completed 11 of 14 passes, threw a touchdown, showed some really nice touch, pocket presence. But ultimately, he is a rookie here, so he did have some issues, did fumble twice here. So to me, ultimately, there are going to be some bumps and bruises along the way here with Daniel Jones, but I ultimately think that Eli Manning is going to be the starter here week 1. This is more of a situation where if the Giants are on the outside looking in of the playoffs, then maybe on midway through the season, maybe even a quarter of the way through, that's when you see Daniel Jones starting games for the New York Giants. Right now, I don't see a quarterback controversy.
All right. Will be fun to watch, though, either way. Now, while the Giants quarterbacks are looking good, their division rival, the Eagles, are having some trouble with that position. Their 2 backup quarterbacks suffered serious injuries in the preseason. So how much should Philadelphia worry about their quarterback depth?
Well, I mean, they should. I mean, this is a team where their star quarterback in Carson Wentz hasn't been able to finish the season in the past 2 years. Obviously, it was made famous a few years ago when he was out, and Nick Foles took them all the way to the Super Bowl. So this is a guy who is immensely talented. I mean, he was competing for league MVP that year they won the Super Bowl before he went down due to his injury. And last year, we almost saw Nick Foles do it again. Carson Wentz couldn't stay healthy. Nick Foles jumped in. And the only problem is for the Philadelphia Eagles, they don't have Nick Foles anymore. He signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars in free agency. So right now, they had to go dip into the free agent market and pluck a guy that was retired, Josh McCown. He signed with the team on a one-year deal, could earn as much as $5 million. And ultimately, the worst-case scenario for the Philadelphia Eagles is if Carson Wentz goes down, you have a veteran in line that's been there, done that, entering his 17th season in Josh McCown. And then the best-case scenario, Josh McCown never sees the field, and he's a veteran influence for Carson Wentz.
Right. All right. Now, we have heard that NFL players and owners are reportedly open to expanding the playoffs. What would this look like, and is there a timeline on when it could be implemented?
Well, this is all going on during the CBA negotiations. The current CBA is up in 2021, so they kind of have that window to figure things out. Obviously, they can amend things earlier than that. But right now, what is the proposed or the reported kind of plan that maybe could add another playoff game is the elimination of a preseason game. So there's been a lot of talk about an 18-game regular season schedule. This is not that. What we're looking at here in this proposed rule is basically just moving a game, removing a preseason game and shifting it to a postseason game. So essentially how the playoffs work right now is the top 2 seeds in each conference get a bye week. They don't have to play. They can just kind of let wild card weekend play out, and then they face the opposing opposition. Now what would happen under this reported change up in the playoffs would be just the number 1 seeds in the AFC and the NFC get the bye week. That number 2 seed now simply plays the lowest seed here. And so to me, this is a good sign. I like this rule. You know, it's still very new. Obviously, still needs to kind of go through the league circles here. But as it stands currently, I like the way this is going here. It adds another competitive game that we can look at here, because if you look at the preseason this year, more so than anything else, it's kind of been a bore. You're seeing a lot more teams not play players. They're just not playing these guys, and you're seeing guys that will be not on NFL rosters come week 1 playing in these games here. So if you can add another competitive game in the postseason, another team gets in there, another team that's vying for a spot to maybe even make some noise, to me, I think you're all for it.
All right. Sounds like a win-win when you describe it. All right. Tyler Sullivan, thank you so much for your time.
No problem. Thank you.